Vai.
Now a hard rain's falling down, and every drop calls out, I am just a part of something else, right where I belong, right where I belong. Right where I belong. If the questions stay the same, then how could the answers change? For what quickly burns, quickly fades, and leaves you in the dark. And so uncertainty is just humility when you face the vast infinity. Who could know it all? Who could know it all? Right where I belong.
Yaudah kita mulai.
Right where I belong. Right where I belong. Let me be the one to love you. Show me how to see the things you do. The world seen through your eyes. Learn to get to know each other. Then we'll see the world will come to. The world seen through your eyes.
I don't have the presentations actually. I don't have them. This is just a backup laptop.
Shine light. Show the way to love. We'll know it when we feel it. Shine a light for us. We'll know it when we see it. at the stars, look how they shine for you. And everything you do, yeah, they were all yellow. I came along, I wrote a song for you, and all the things you do, and it was called yellow. So then I took my turn. Oh, what a thing to have done. And it was all yellow. Your skin, oh yeah, your skin and bones turn into something beautiful. And you know I love you so. You know I love you so. I swam across, I jumped across for you. Oh, what a thing to do, 'cause you were all yellow. I drew a line, I drew a line for you. Oh, what a thing to do. And it was all yellow. And your skin, oh yeah, your skin and bones turn into something beautiful. You know I love you so. You know I love you so. Look at the stars, look how they shine for you. And all the things that you do. You picked your chair to sit in. You made the bed in which you lay. I used to tuck you in it. You let your dreams take you away. The clock was always ticking. I fought it off and stayed away. But now these nights look different. The colors died another way. So you asked me, what would I do if just for a minute I was you? I took every step in your heart and in your head. I see what you see. Nothing looks right. You brought me somewhere I'd never be. You carved out your decision before you took the turn from me. The life we almost lived in. The mornings walking turning green. So you you do the dishes. And when I'm working late, you record the game so I don't miss it. And we're good at taking on each other's issues, but we're bleeding through the band-aids and we're crying through the tissues. And it's kinda romantic how overdramatic we are, and it's got us this far. But I think you're the one for someone else, and that shit's hard to say. It's okay to feel the same, and I can tell. It's hard to leave us in the past, but perfect's just a lot to ask. We're meant to be, not made to last. We were meant to be, just not made to last. And I don't wanna keep you waiting. It's not as simple as a yes or no, it's kinda complicated. But I would leave a 5-star review, 10 out of 10. Recommend it to a friend if I could. 'Cause I think you're the one for someone else, and that shit's hard to say. It's okay, you feel the same, and I can tell. It's hard to leave us in the past, but perfect's just a lot to ask. We're meant to be, not made to last. 'Cause we put too much pressure on ourselves, keeping up appearances to please everybody else. It's hard to leave us in the past, but perfect's just a lot to ask. We're meant to be, just not meant to last. We were meant to be, just not made to last. We were meant to be, just not made to last. We were meant to be, just not made to last.
I like you when we're quiet, we're caught inside the silence. And I'll hide between the lines, well, you'll find the silver linings. Oh baby, please don't cry yet. Well, you know that I'm trying to fix this up for you. And I know that you want me, but my back makes me lonely. Can't tell you that I'm slowly falling out of love, babe. 'Cause your father never liked me, but you know that I'm trying to fix this up for you. I know you call at 3 a.m. and tell me no one gets you like I do. You say you miss the subtle things, but you don't remember. Oh, I just smoke too much and need a job. I'm just writing songs to fix my heart, and 1,000 miles ain't close enough. But I don't wanna fall in love. And your friends say I'm crazy, 'cause I'm drinking on the daily. And you think you're gonna save me, but I hope you just replace me. 'Cause I'm bad at saying goodbye, but I hope you know that I tried to fix this up for you. Oh, 'cause I'm hopelessly just trying to find a way to tell you to move on. But it's hard, 'cause you just fall apart. 'Cause I know you call at 3 a.m. and tell me no one gets you like I do. You say you miss the subtle things, but you don't remember. Oh, I just smoke too much and need a job. I'm just writing songs to fix my heart, and 1,000 miles ain't close enough. But I don't wanna fall, 'cause I'm hopelessly just trying to find a way to tell you to move on. But it's hard, because you just fall apart. Oh, 'cause I'm holding on, I'm hoping that you would run back to 6 a.m. and I'm sat alone thinking of you. I start to miss the little things, but you realize that I just smoke too much and need a drop. I'm just writing songs to fix my heart, and 1,000 miles ain't close enough. But I don't wanna fall in love.
Mr. Nice Guy, that's who I am. How could I be shy? It's all play pretend. Oh, the laughing stock, the entertainment. I try to fake it, but I'm sick inside. All of the times in my mind, am I alright? I'm sick inside. Does anyone know? Does it show? Do you see the real me? Mr. Blue Sky, it's been forever since we gave it a good try, changing the weather. Where have you been? Where did you go? Didn't you notice that I've been alone? Oh, Mr. Blue Sky, I need you tonight. I'm sick inside. All of the times in my mind, am I alright? I'm sick inside. Does anyone know? Does it show? Do you see that I'm sick inside? All of the time I lost my mind.
One of the panelists,
Prof. Sorry. 15. 15. 1 5. And because women and women's issues should be an ongoing concern and our unrelenting preoccupation, this event wouldn't allow us to host it during the Women's Month, Dr. Ramokgopa. We had to postpone. This event said you will do me in October because I'll be ready to talk women once again in October. Vice Chancellor Professor Den Khwadi, our guest speaker today, Dr. Gwen Ramokgopa, all members of the VUT executive team, all honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Nkosazana Tengimfene and I'm your program director this morning. I have left all the proper salutations to the speakers that I'll be calling up on stage during the course of this program. And I'm just happy to say thank you for being here. All protocol observed. Let's have a lovely time. To kick off our program this morning, let's perhaps speak about why we are here. And at this point, I want to invite Dr. Susanna Berger to tell us what before that, I should ask the host this morning to open this event and to welcome us to this university. Dr. Khwadi.
Thanks. Thank you very much, colleagues. Let me just do this, be straight and forward. Welcome you all to this meeting. And the guest speaker, Dr. Gwen, thanks a lot for coming, for gracing us here. And Dr. Mudikha is here from Medusa.
See why. Like I have said, it's a common condition, second common cancer overall, leading cause of death. It affects both males and females. And also in the LGBTI plus, we must remember some people are changing their genders, but something might be just left. So everybody is actually partisan to this, and they have to actually be cognizant of that. And then we're going to look at early detection and treatment, and what the late detection will actually have as an outcome, because that is going to lead us to, poor, indeterminate outcomes, cosmetic effects, which actually make you to be very much self-aware and have low self-esteem. Like I've said, learning capacity also decreases. All right. What is breast cancer? Breast cancer is a pathological entity that starts with a genetic alteration of a single cell and may take several years to become palpable. It can spread to almost any part of the body. I want you to take notice of that. How many of us have been to the doctor and you say, "Doctor, I've got this backache," right? And you get what? Brufen and Panado, right? And you don't report back to doctor, you switch over to another doctor and another doctor. Well, you may actually be sitting, sorry?
We are advised that we perhaps should allow the students to go past and then you continue.
All right.
So that the noise does not disturb.
Okay. All right. Right. So we can start. Right. So be very careful when you present with a symptom that does not seem to be getting treated and does not, get affected by the treatment that you and your doctor are doing. This slide is demonstrating exactly what we have just said about how common the breast cancer is. It's only second to the lung cancer in terms of mortality as well as incidence. Incidence is where we see new cases, and mortality is the outcome and what becomes of a woman or people that never got to submit early for them to be treated effectively to attend to the problem. This is a very busy slide. I just want you to look into that. There are things here. These are modifiable versus non-modifiable risk factors of breast cancer. if you look on the modifiable, these are the things that me and you can actually interact with and avoid some of them and be cognizant thereof. For instance, your physical activity, your hormone replacement therapy, those ladies that are above the menopause, that are of menopausal age, you remember that you will have hormone replacement. So you must remember, even Panado has got side effects, isn't it? So with the hormonal therapy also, you need to be careful, right? But you will discuss this with your doctor. Not everything is going to be thrown away. You know, there's always some good points. Your physical activity, being overweight, alcohol intake, smoking, and use of contraceptives might actually contribute, but you can control that. Excessive exposure to artificial light or intake of processed foods. We have to cook our food, people. Plant our food and cook it, Insufficient vitamin supplementation, as well as other drugs. Unfortunately, on the right side, these things you cannot change. It said that if the older you are, the higher the probability that you might get cancer. Also, if you've got a genetic predisposition, what do I mean by that? If somebody in your family has suffered from any type of a cancer, there is a likelihood that you might also get one, isn't it? And it's not a self-fulfilled prophecy. We know, if you know this history, so what are you going to do? You're going to be very proactive in terms of assisting the health system to, do something yourself, present yourself so that you can be checked, so that these things can be picked up and be treated. And then, what are the symptoms to look out for? There will be, you remember in the other slide we said that you get a multiplication of cells long before you can actually feel something, right? Breast lump can be one of those, thickening with or without pain. Just see there's something thick, it's not painful, so what's the problem? And I'll share with you something that we observed whilst we were doing our studies in Makato University in Pretoria. So we have changed our name so much. We had to honor some legends, right? So what we saw then, I remember one day we had a lady that was coming from Limpopo. She had a very big ulcer, like so a big wound on the breast. And she said it was not painful, you see. It just depends where it is. There might be alteration in size, shape, and appearance of the breast. You might get dimpling or redness or pitting or alteration on the skin. And there might be some change in nipple appearances and the alteration in skin surrounding the nipple areola, that dark area before the nipple. Sorry, we're going to point at our anatomy, gentlemen. You will excuse us. We have to acknowledge this because in the first instance, we love our bodies, don't we, ladies? Thank you. And there might be some nipple discharge that is abnormal. Some of it may be a little bit foul smelling. Some of it might just be, So if you see something coming out and you are not breastfeeding, please present to your doctor for further investigations. There we are. Now, we are going to do this exercise. Please pardon me. Now, this is now in action, action time. Right. This was supposed to be a snippet where you see how we're supposed to do self-examinations, but I'm going to demonstrate it to you. This you can do lying down or in your shower or wherever you might be in your private feminine space. You do this, right? And then you pretend like you are actually drawing a cross across your breast, right? Why are you doing that? So that you can cover all the aspects. And you are going to go doing it like systematically. So however you start, you go doing this, and you go doing that, you palpate with a flat hand, and you do this. You are feeling for lumps, or any growths that might be in the breast. And you go like that until you get to the center, you do this. And then you go into the armpit, because you must remember there is a connection. So you feel if there's something that you are not used to. You know yourself now, you'll see when there's something that you don't know that is coming up. Anybody volunteer, and you're going to do this on the opposite side. And you must remember, whatever happens this side might actually cross over to the other side. So both breasts needs to be, you need to do that exactly. Do I have a volunteer, or do you all want to do a practical at this moment? Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. Your arm up on your head, and then you get to the breast part, and then you draw an imaginary line across, up and across, right? And then you start palpating. Let's start on the outside, and then you go to the inside, and you go to the to the under part, and then to the lateral side, and then you go with the gentlemen. You are also invited, and then and then you. Well done, well done. I think we need to give an applause. Well done, well done, well done. Please, gentlemen, don't be like that. Don't be spoiled sports now. All right, okay. This is your normal breast. Why I'm showing you this, you might notice that we will be starting just to point out the areas where you get the breast. You've got the lobule. You see where the lobule is, and you see where the lactiferous duct is. Those are the problematic areas. Also, the fatty tissue might actually be the origin of all of this, right? Okay, let's move on. You see now types of stage 0. Stage 0 is when the lump is located where it started. You have that multiplication of cells, it's still sitting where it's still sitting. All right, now, the milk duct that you can see what a normal duct looks like. Look at how it turns when you've got a cancer. It becomes disorganized and sort of like cloggy and closey. You can see that. And then you can see now the normal lobe cell, what it looks like, nice, organized, and rounded. And now you see the lobular carcinoma inside you. Again, it looks very disorganized. A cancer is a naughty cell that just does not obey. You know, and I don't know, you know this thing. So now that is how it is important. So you know now you've got an idea of the anatomy. We all now know the anatomy of the breast. You know, that one I'm sure of. We've done our examination. Now, another investigation that is very important is the mammogram. Anybody that is above the age of 40 needs to present themselves to their doctor, who will refer you to the radiologist who will do a mammogram. This is a specialized X-ray where the breast is taken into the space and the photo thereof is taken in fullness. If there is anything that is suspect from there, then they will advise you what is going to be done next. And what is going to be done next will probably the fine needle aspiration. That is now when you have been referred to a surgeon, the person that actually operates. They will do that aspiration and take that to the laboratory, and then they will check what is actually happening. If they find something that is suggestive of a cancer, they will there and there strategize as to how we are going to be treating it, right? And then the next slide is just like quickly showing you what it will all look like. Firstly, on stage 1, you will have a cancer that is sitting and collected in one space. But in stage 2, you can see it's starting to spread. You must remember, a cancer spread exactly like Ankarapa, it goes all the way. It's not controlled. It just goes haphazardly where it wants to go. And when you are at stage 3, you already see the lymph nodes that are actually absorbing the cancer cells and taking it towards the rest of the body. And then stage 4, you see there is a lung there, which means the lung is affected. Now we know that we get oxygen in the lung, isn't it? And from there, the oxygen needs to be taken to all parts of the body. So you can imagine. That red blood cell is going to take it maybe to the bone, it might take it to the liver, it might take it anywhere in the body. That is the spread, right? And now, these are just the example of some of the cancers that have actually grown and got gotten a little bit out of hand. It might be something like this. It might actually be something very wide open. It might be also a very small nodule which is hardly palpable, but it may have done so much damage throughout the body. So there isn't anything like I'm going to wait until I have a sore. Once you feel something that is nodular, self-examination, report. Come to us, let's refer you, right? And the next slide is going to show you the journey of the treatment of breast cancer. You might have surgery depending on the size and the site. So if it may be a small just excision, which will be followed by chemotherapy and then the cancer cells are burned, that is good. But it might actually need the radiation where the cancer cells are burned so that they do not spread to other parts of the body. It might be endocrinal therapy where hormones are used. You see, hormone therapy there, what did you say? It might actually lead you to getting, but we still use endocrinal therapy. And there might be biological therapy. So there is a lot of interventions that you can go through. Some people have survived all of this. Like this lady here, Teresa Wilson, she's still very much alive after 31 sessions of chemotherapy. After a year of being remission, she has been in remission after a year having been on remission. There she was running the Comrades Marathon. How many of us have done the Comrades? You see, some of these things actually make you feel like you've been given a second chance in life. Please don't wait for that. You remember we said we don't need to be overweight, so we must exercise. Ne? So some people have survived indeed. There is a lot of them that we know in our society that are still going through the scourge, and it's a very painful thing. Because when somebody says to you, I have cancer, what do? You run. Because some people think that, I'm going to get it too. No, you can't. You're not going to get it. But it's always good to be kind to one another. And because you don't know. I see you today, I don't know how you woke up, what problems you are bringing into the space, isn't it? So always be kind to one another. Yeah, so in summary, early detection saves lives. Now I know for sure, people in this room know how to examine their breast, and I know they trust their doctors enough to go present to them if they feel anything that is not right in their breast. And please, ladies, information we are sharing here, please share it with other ladies and gentlemen, and everybody basically, so that we all know and have the knowledge to save lives and to live fruitful lives. Thank you very much for your audience.
Thank you, Dr. Modicha. Thank you so much for a practical lesson. Thank you for making us touch ourselves this morning. I tend to pay attention to sound bites, and that's probably because of my profession. A cancer cell is haphazard in its destruction. Ngathi ngumntwana otshaya inyawo uphe. I'll never forget that. That stuck with me. Thank you once more, Dr. Modicha. As we move forward on our program, just to say, Professor Khwadi had to leave the room as he needs to attend to the students that were marching past, and he will be back at a point. Dr. Simphiwe Nelana is the Acting Deputy Vice Chancellor responsible for research, and he will introduce to us our guest speaker. Just to say, he is one of the males that was refusing to do self-examination just now. Dr. Nelana, you're on the spot now.
Short. Good morning. Since I'm already on top, I'll say all protocol observed, and also want to welcome all the speakers, the guest speakers to this event. It would have been more fitting if this event was held during the Women's Month, the last month, but already we're here, we can continue. Until 30 minutes ago, I didn't know that I was going to be standing here. I tried my best to avoid to come, but apparently I couldn't avoid. As been indicated, my name is Dr. Simphiwe Nelana. Others who like me call me Speech. So yeah, but today I'm not going to give a speech. My job here is very simple, is to introduce our keynote address, the guest speaker, the person who's going to be speaking to us, and also introducing some aspects that affect women and also some issues that women can consider to take them forward. I'm very impressed that the research in breast cancer is led by women at Sefako Makgato University. That's very important. I think we need to take that one forward. All right, our keynote address will be given by Dr. Gwendolyn Malechwale Ramakgopa Lipoko. Dr. Gwen Ramakgopa considers herself an activist for justice, health, and development. She was born in Attersville in the city of Tshwane. Dr. Ramakgopa is a medical doctor who holds a master's degree in public health from Medical University of South Africa, Medunsa, now Sefako Makgato University of Health Sciences. Up until recently, she has been serving as a special advisor to the minister in the Presidency of South Africa, and is a former chancellor at Tshwane University of Technology, TUT. As a medical professional, she's also an associate of the World Health Organization Collaborating Center on Social Determinants of Health and Health in all Policies. She sits on the boards of South African Medical and Dental Practitioners Association, SAMDP, the Medical Women of South Africa, and the Medical Cooperative Bank. Dr. Ramakgopa is a respected activist in the liberation struggle and continues to be involved in politics. Her activism extends to human rights, health and wellness, gender equity, and youth development. Her foundation, the Dr. Ramakgopa Foundation, continues to provide support to many young people, affording them opportunities to develop in their chosen careers. The foundation has recently launched a social development investment campaign for Matseke Primary School in Attersville, where corporates, civil society, and well-meaning individuals are encouraged to adopt a class. This campaign simply encourages people to adopt a class that they can sponsor with regards to whatever infrastructural needs it may have. This includes the purchase of critical learning aids such as projectors, stationery, and infrastructure like tiles and paint, etc. She has worked as a medical officer. By the way, this is supposed to be long because whoever is coming is a keynote, so just be patient, right? She has worked as a medical officer at the now Dr. George Mukari Hospital and as a general medical practitioner at Pretoria City Center. She was also the National Health Program Manager at the Independent Development Trust during transition to democracy and served as a medical advisor at the Gauteng Department of Health. She was later to be appointed as MEC in the same department. Now, amongst her achievement, she has served on the boards of Netcare, Nozala, Workers Health, and Medipost. Served on council at Medunsa and University of Pretoria, and she has served as chairperson of the executive in the City Council of Pretoria and executive mayor of the city of Tshwane. She has served as the provincial minister for health and for social development as a member of the legislature in Gauteng. She has also served as an MEC for health in Gauteng. She has also served in the deputy minister, as the national deputy minister for health in South Africa. Lastly, Dr. Ramakgopa sits in the NEC of the ANC and was recently tasked with the role of coordinator in the office of the Secretary General. She continues to consult in a chosen field of medical research and advocacy. I would like to welcome Dr. Ramakgopa to the podium. Thank you.
Yeah, I understand why a CV is complex because I think I'm just a complex person, except that we're more or less the same height. Thank you very much, Prof. And good morning to everyone. And I want to thank the program director for this opportunity to share one or two thoughts with you. And Ms. Nkosazana Tengimfene, I also would like to appreciate the generosity of the Vice Chancellor and Principal for allowing me in his territory, Professor Dan Kwadi, and the chief host. My understanding is that this is both a teaching and a research institution, and that if you are a director of research, you're quite important because that's also what brings in more resources to the institution. Dr. Berger, my colleague and fellow alumni, Dr. Ntabise Mudiga, thank you for the presentation as well. We never know whether to write Medunsa or Sefako Makhato. I did an MPH when it was Limpopo, in brackets Medunsa, so it's quite a complexity there. We're born for complexity. I want to also acknowledge all the senior leaders of this august institution, the Value University of Technology, the guests from other universities. I saw someone from VUT as well, the members of the community of the Value University of Technology, ladies and gentlemen, the few gentlemen that are here. It is indeed my singular pleasure to be with you today at this occasion. And I just want to first start by saying that I appreciate that this university is recognized both locally and globally. And I was just checking what is it known for. And what I found was that this university is known for research, it's known for teaching, and it is also known for technology. Three key inputs into an economy that is sustainable, an economy of the future. I want to indicate that I've also checked where this university belongs in the bigger scheme of things, and that this VUT ranks 20th in South Africa. I'm also giving this platform because I'm going to leave challenges for women who are in this institution to contribute to the overall advancement of this institution. And they say 4,054th globally, and in Africa, I think it ranked ninth in terms of universities of technology. So it is mentioned. There are institutions that are not even mentioned because they are not known. That you are ranked, it means that it is important, that you are recognized, and you must just look at the perspectives of the ranking. Isn't it when you are in a beauty contest? All of you are beautiful, isn't it? It just depends on the judges, what they are looking for, how you walk, how you answer questions, and so forth and so forth. But that you don't win the top doesn't mean that you're not the best. So the university is also, it has a motto of inspiring thought and shaping talent. We're all born with talent, and we can make the world a better place if we remember that your talents are yours to nurture, to unlock, and to also make sure that you lead a happy life, a productive life, and a life that indeed is appreciated. I want to agree with Dr. Berger, who referred to some study by a company, Fortune, what. From my side, what I want to leave you with is that is a thought that women who are empowered with knowledge and skills, working within organization, have at various epochs of history globally made formidable contributions at economic, political, social, and cultural transformation perspectives or contexts. Alone, you may achieve so much. If you are networked and in an organization, you can achieve even more. And that is why I want to congratulate this university for establishing a women's forum. It's absolutely critical. I don't prefer women's forums, I prefer gender forums. Because some of our leaders taught us, especially the longest serving president of the ANC during very difficult times, who is a lawyer himself in his own right, a humble one, Oliver Reginald Tambo. He said, the matters of women empowerment are not for women alone. So if you have a gender committee, those that are male, also born of men, who gave birth to them? Men, eh? You get my point? Those that are male, born of women, have a contribution to make. That this world becomes a safer world for women. It also becomes a world for women to thrive, and it becomes even a better world to allow women to contribute. It is not only a woman's issue. If we can underline that. I'm glad the VC is not here, and he's one of my favorite VCs, and I can say what I'm going to say. In future, when you invite the VC, you must ask him to present an academic paper on the issues of women empowerment as an academic leader, so that we can then distribute that to society, because he is highly influential as a VC. So we want his office to serve women through that, to say what are his thoughts, what does the research say, and what is his leadership taking us towards, what is his commitment. I'm saying so because just as he was taking office in 2019, women marched to President Ramaphosa's working place at Mahlambandlov, Union Buildings. I don't know if you remember that. And they said, nobody must come here with any political regalia. This is not about politics, it's about the life of women. We can't live in a democracy that we don't enjoy. And he was forced to have a session with him as a leader of society. And fast forward to that, President Ramaphosa committed his cabinet and the country towards making the lives of women better whilst he's in office. He later launched a national strategic plan against gender-based violence, pledged 1.6 billion rands plan in 5 areas. The first area was access to justice. The pledge was around 395 million. And then the second pillar was around contributing towards changing norms and behaviors in society. And that pledge was 179 million. And the third one was urgently responding to survivors of victims of violence as victims and survivors. The fourth one was strengthening accountability and the architecture to respond to GBVF. And 20 million was set up there. And lastly was the interventions that would facilitate economic empowerment of women. So there was a plan. So if you are going to discuss problems as a women's forum, you must then make proposals on what plans can be put in place and presented to the leadership of the institution for the plans to be funded and the plans to be implemented by who, by when, and also putting the accountability architecture that indeed it happens. In the second quarter of 2022, this year, Stats SA indicated that 47% of South African women aged between 15 and 64 years were recorded as economically inactive. The first big problem is gender-based violence and femicide. The second biggest problem is economic justice for women. The third biggest problem for me, which I will also reflect on, is that women who make it, who break the glass ceilings, are not adequately recognized. So those are the three things I would like to really enunciate on. At the Gender Lens Investment Summit held in July under the auspices of the Women Economic Assembly, the Industrial Development Corporation, this was last year, committed 9 billion rands towards gender lens investing. So meaning that with the money that they have to support the development of industry in South Africa, they would set aside 9 billion rands to ensure that it is engendered, that women are not left behind. And the Public Investment Corporation committed 12.5 billion rands. Who of you knew of these commitments? Okay, because if you don't know about these commitments, you are not going to be able to make the president and his cabinet account. And the president will keep on saying, this money is there. Actually, it had to go back to Treasury. And what those that are not rooted amongst people do, who are chasing the budgets of the states, anywhere, everywhere else in the world, and these are global syndicates, what they do, they look at the commitments of the budgets, and they say, this is for that, this is for that, and they will come to you as consultants and take 10% of what they raise, which anyway belonged to you. So I hope that the Women's Forum here at the Vaal University of Technology will take interest in resources that are available to implement commitments, and will not only access for the Women's Forum of VUT, but will help the women and the institution of VUT to be relevant to the society around it, to our country, to Africa, and to the world. We need to know knowledge is power. So even when we teach, we need to have special sessions that teach about leveraging the resources, the opportunities that are there to advance society. As the term implies, gender lens investing is an approach that considers gender-based factors across investment processes to advance gender equality and better inform investment decisions. Ladies and gentlemen, men are not left behind, because as many women leaders like Charlotte Maxeke, who unfortunately also passed on in the month of October, as she usually said, it is important that men must know that we are not there to replace them, but to augment them, because the challenges that face society are too big for men alone to carry. So if we say 40%, which the president committed, of the total budget, which is about R1 trillion of the country, must empower women, and a proportion of it, which is procurement, 40%, must go to women. It means that 60% remains with men. So sometimes when we push women's empowerment, men feel, oh, what about us? They still have the chunk of it left, the 60%, because women alone can't carry the development imperatives and necessities, they need men alongside. So all of us must work together, as Charlotte Matleke also proposed. She invested a lot in the Val area, the Wilberforce College, and so forth and so forth. But what inspires me about her, if we reflect on women that were before us, is that she was the first South African woman to hold a BSc degree. She went overseas to sing in the choir. But then someone said, you need to have other talents to liberate yourself and your country. And she stayed in Ohio and studied BSc. And she came back here and mobilized even men in the institutions that did not allow women to participate. So our responsibility is not only limited to women, but of priority women. So if you are in technology, the automotive sector, I'm not sure which technology you look at, the automotive industry has committed 1.6 billion rands for advancing women over the next 5 years from last year. And of the 13 transformation businesses supported by the fund, Automotive Industry Fund, 8 have been women-owned. So the question you asked me to respond to is whether women are doing enough to support one another. And I must say that more still needs to be done, but still there is a lot done. Sometimes we fight for the same resources, for the same positions, but we must remember we should rather cooperate than compete in every aspect. Every woman in leadership must know that progressive men and women in general will support them to succeed. I want to close by saying that we need more women in leadership positions and general gender equality in all endeavors of life. We are doing a little bit better in government. For the first time in 2019, the Cabinet of South Africa had 50-50 women parity. I know we must also pressurize all political parties. We must make it law that in their constitution they must also have gender parity. At least in the ANC I belong to, we fought as women supported by others to have 50-50 representation, but we still say it's not enough. The representation must also be in the top positions, what we call the top 6 official office bearers. So representation is important. Your task would be to look at the parity at the management level, academic level, and so forth and so forth. Let me conclude by saluting women who have made history, but are least recognized. These women, I'll start with women in Africa and end with women in the world. Because if we don't look out for women who are doing extraordinary things, who are making breakthroughs, who are pathfinders, creating paths for other women, we will create a world where women, younger women as they grow, the girls won't have mentors. I want to leave you with a salutation of Dr. Matai, who is the first female professor in her home country of Kenya and was also the first female recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, especially in sustainable development. Professor Karim, we know the man, but the woman is also there, who is an epidemiologist. And he also received an award for the South African honor the Order of Mapungubwe for her fight against HIV and looking at prevention, especially for women. And there are many others, but I want to add the younger women who are amazing and coming out very strong. One of those is Ndoni Mkunu, the founder of the Black Women in Science, and how she thought of establishing a structure. She felt that she didn't have anyone to help her as she was struggling. And she said to enable others to come up as she rises, there has to be a structure. So those that want us to believe that other women, when they advance, they forget about the rest, must learn from Ndoni, that many women don't do that. They actually lift as they rise. So Ndoni is a recent winner of the Gagasi FM Shero Award in Science and Technology category. And also she said the number one thing a young aspirational African woman can do is to ensure a good start for a successful science-based career by one, identifying who they are, two, what are they good at, and lastly, to interpret failure. She says failure must mean I must try again until I make a breakthrough. Let me leave you with the global women pathfinders that are also least celebrated, so that we know we're not alone in the world. Mary Curie, who was who also got the first person to win a second Nobel Peace Prize in 1911. The first one was 1903. There was also the second one that I want to share with you, without going into their details, this information is available for you. If you research, I usually go to scholarly articles to make sure that whatever information I get from the internet is information I can back up. It is also important for us to know women, other women who've made a breakthrough globally. I'm trying to summarize. Gabrielle Emile Lebretule, the daughter of a French court's chief of protocol, who is known for collaboration in science and in particular the area of the nature of fire. She unfortunately died due to complications of pregnancy. We hadn't done enough research to limit complications of pregnancy for women. There's also a Dr. Herschel, who was in astronomy in Britain. There's also a Mary Annings, who was also in fossil, paleontology and so forth. There are many others that are too many to mention, but you don't know about them. So I hope that the Women's Forum will start celebrating women, talk less about problems, and talk more about breakthroughs, and inspire us to deal with the problems that still remain for us. Some few weeks ago, maybe a month or so, in July, I presented a paper that was analyzing, and that is, I could make it available to the forum, that was analyzing the improvements we've made in the quality of life of women in South Africa. And in short, it said a lot has been done, more needs to be still to be tackled. The bottle is not half empty, it is half full. We build on what we have achieved. However, there are areas of regress. There are areas where we are backpedaling, and we must be vigilant. And I hope that the Women's Forum will have a very good, with the support of the research sector, a very good monitoring and evaluation program to really check that are these things happening to improve the lives of ordinary women of South Africa, of the area that you are, because universities should not be white elephants, but should be relevant to their society. The Val, Sitibeng, is one of the cities that we want to see high up there. There is a water economy that is there. There are investment for the hydrogen economy, which is the future energy source that is affordable, that is clean for the world. So we hope that we will not only cry about the steel industry that is declining, but we will also look at the breakthroughs that will benefit both men and women. I wish you well, and I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ramokgopa. Another round of applause for her, please. Yours is indeed a complex CV, but your message today was very simple and we understood it. We've absorbed. Take interest in the resources that government has made available for all programs that support women and women empowerment. Do not do this only for the agenda of the Women's Forum at VUT, but also reach out and make sure that your tentacles touch the communities that surround this university, because the academy must always have relevance and impact in the societies that surround it. Thank you, Dr. Ramokgopa. We heard you. Ladies and gentlemen, we move on. The university has assembled this morning a panel of formidable women, leaders and managers in their chosen fields. And they've been asked this afternoon, to respond to the topic. In celebration of women's achievements and successes, are we doing enough as women to support and celebrate each other? And so whilst they will contribute and give us their views on this topic, they will also touch on what we've all heard this morning and perhaps their own viewpoints in this regard. I will introduce each of the respondents, and I want to request that as I call your name, you please stand up so that they know who I am talking about. Ms. Busisiwe Ramabodu. She is the Executive Director, Human Resources at VUT. A round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ramabodu. You can sit down. Ms. Kimberly Kemkes. She is the chairperson of the National Tertiary Education Union at VUT. Thank you very much, Ms. Kemkes. Dr. Narisa Ramdani, please stand. And she is the Director for Resource Mobilization at this university. Please sit down, Ms. Dr. Ramdani. Thank you. Ms. Khau Mutuachai, please stand. She is the Vice President, Corporate Social Investment at Sasol Foundation. Thank you, Ms. Mutuachai. Professor Togo Klaba, please stand. She's Associate Professor here at VUT, Faculty of Applied and Computer Science. Dr. Nandi Malumbazo, thank you, Dr. Klaba, you can sit down. Dr. Nandi is a senior lecturer in clean coal technology at VUT University. Happy to have you. Ladies, thank you very much for accepting the invitation to speak to us this morning. I will now give over to you. I know that you have been briefed to do just 7 minutes of speaking, and then we will open the floor for a Q&A. Dr. Busisiwe Ramabodu, do you want to take it off? Does she have a mic? You want to come here?
Vertically challenged. Yeah. taking over after that can be quite interesting for some of us. Let me take this time to greet all of you. Greetings. And thank Dr. Ramahopa for really challenging us in terms of what we need to focus on the launch of the Women's Forum at VUT. I must say, personally, as an executive director of VUT, I am very excited. I'm very excited that as women of VUT, we've come together and we have established this initiative. I do also sometimes have mixed feelings, like Doc, in terms of the Women's Forum, but the reality is that in order for us to continue doing the work that we need to do to advance women, we need to create forums like this one. I don't believe in talk shops, because sometimes I do find that we spend a lot of time talking and not actually doing work. So I'm very excited that at VUT we will be doing exactly that. We'll be meeting and we will be identifying, first and foremost, what is the status quo of VUT when it comes to advancement of women, the representation, and the mentorship programs. And then from there, we should be able to establish very targeted programs that are going to ensure that we advance women, both in the academic sector as well as professional services sector. When I recently looked at the data, it shows, and it's a similar picture across the higher education sector, that you find that women are more represented at lower levels, but as soon as you go further up, you find that women become less and less represented. So that's your associate professorships, your full professors, and all your leadership positions. There's still a lot of work that we need to do in that regard. So I'm very excited that we are doing this work. A forum like this one, I must add, also allows us the opportunity to mentor. I see a lot of young ladies in the room. And I do believe that through this forum, we must be able to create opportunities to mentor, because we have all arrived where we are through the mentorship of others. And contrary to popular belief, some of the mentors that I've personally had have been female. Yes, I've had mentors that are male, but we need to bust the myths and focus on the things that women are doing well. And so I'm excited about that. Just quick reflections on the theme and the questions that have been asked today in terms of, are we doing enough to celebrate women's achievements and women's successes? So upon reflection on this question, yes, the default answer is that there is still a lot more work that we need to do in order to ensure that women are adequately recognized. Doc put it very succinctly, better than I might have put it, to say that, yes, we've all been surrounded by women doing great work, but we do find that they are not adequately recognized. And the question is why? Why do we struggle to celebrate each other as women? And it really goes back to something that we all know in terms of cultural socialization, where women often take a subservient role. And as a result, when you start promoting and talking about your achievements and so on, you are kind of frowned upon. And those are some of the things that we need to challenge. Yes, a lot of work has been done. I recently had a conversation with a colleague of Indian descent, and they were having a family meeting. She's a professional woman, and in that family meeting, apparently, women sit on one side and the males sit on one side. So she was saying jokingly that I was listening to these men making all the wrong decisions. But because I'm a woman in this cultural environment, I could not say anything. So unfortunately, we bring all of those stereotypes and perceptions into the workplace, and we really need to work to challenge them. And then the second issue that I want to reflect on that sometimes prohibits us from celebrating the successes of women, both celebrating other women that are doing well as well as celebrating our own. It's this issue of self-promotion. As women, I don't know if I can ask you by show of hands, how many of you feel comfortable talking about your achievements? You feel comfortable talking about your achievements? Can you just raise your hand? You feel comfortable talking about your achievements? You can see the majority of us are not comfortable. And that's something that needs to change, because if you are not comfortable to talk about your achievements, how are people going to know? How is the leadership where you work going to know what value you bring to the organization? They are not going to know. You are doing great work, but you are sitting in your corner and you are not promoting the work that you are doing. And as a result, you might be missed for promotional opportunities because you have not created the space to promote the work that you do. There's nothing wrong with self-promotion. We need to differentiate between bragging and healthy self-promotion. So it's one of the things that as women we struggle a lot with, which is false humility. False humility, if I can just read you a definition, it says it's when we intentionally devalue our contributions in an attempt to appear humble. So you've achieved quite a lot, but because you are afraid that if I say or speak about it, or if I, make a big noise about it, people are gonna think, oh, this one, we need to move away from that. Otherwise, we're always going to find ourselves in this space where women are doing a lot of work, but we are not adequately recognized for the work that we do. So I want to encourage you today to look at yourself and look at your achievements and look at how you can healthily promote the work that you do. Because I believe that if you can feel comfortable promoting your own achievements, then it will be easier for you to promote the achievements of other women. And we won't have this pull-it-down syndrome or whatever they call it, because we are comfortable in our own skin, we are comfortable in the achievements that we've made, we are comfortable in talking about those achievements. So just a few tips before I go down, but I really wanted to talk about the self-promotion. So some tips for how you go about promoting yourself in a healthy manner that doesn't come across as bragging. First and foremost, you need to look at the value that you bring to the organization, to the department, where you are. Feel comfortable talking about that. Or maybe, even better, if you don't know, because sometimes we are very quick to judge ourselves for things that we do wrong, but are very slow to celebrate ourselves for the things that we do right. So maybe an introspection that says, what are the things that I'm doing right? What are the things that I'm doing well that perhaps my boss needs to know about, my head of department needs to know about, my colleagues need to know about, because that's the value that I bring to the organization. So you're not necessarily talking about yourself as such, but you are talking about the contribution and the value that you bring. I think that's a time issue. And then, of course, seek out your high-profile projects. Don't be afraid to take on projects that are going to give you exposure. Ask for them. And then, of course, enlist allies. I think it's been said a number of times that you can't do things alone. So you need to enlist allies amongst your colleagues, including where you are, as well as external allies. Use opportunities to network, conferences, professional bodies, and so on. That is very important. So I want to say, be visible, lean in, because you belong at the table, you are capable. If you are not capable, you will not be where you are. So I want to leave you with that, to say, women, let us take the space, let us celebrate our achievements, let's talk about them, and especially at VUT, I hope that with the Women's Forum, we're going to be talking a lot and bragging a lot about the work that the Women's Forum is doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ramaboto. You were asking what are we doing wrong. You were taking too much time. That's what you were doing wrong. Thank you for that. I couldn't cut you short because you were quite captivating. Ms. Kimberly Kemkes, do you want to do it there with this? You come to the podium. Please give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon, Program Director, esteemed guests, panelists, colleagues, and of course our sisters and daughters and some sons of Mama Africa. Such a forum gives women a platform to discuss, deliberate, and find solutions to the challenges that we are so often faced with as a woman. As a woman, we need to empower and uplift one another, which can only be accomplished if we seek the passion within ourselves and the ability to empower the women that we are. I would like to give a brief on the challenges that as women we are often faced. As the leader of a union, let me tell you, as a woman, taking over from a man was not an easy task. The first impression I created had to be of vital importance, as this would set the foundation for the way forward. I needed to make a stand, and a strong one at that. As a woman in a position of power and leadership, my actions and thoughts had to be selfless, as I placed the needs of the others before my own. My main objective, of course, is to fight for the greater good of not just the members of Inteu, and not just for women, but for all staff, creating a platform of equality and fairness for all. This is only possible through the support of not just an executive team, but also the members, whether you are male, female, management, or a cleaner. In the song, This Is a Man's World by James Brown, he sings of the things that man has made, which although it resounds true, one can't help but pay closer attention to the opening and closing of the song. This is a man's world. This is a man's world. Thank you. But it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl. And he goes on to explain about all the things that man has created, a man has invented, a man has accomplished. And he ends the song, this is a man's world. But it wouldn't be nothing, not one little thing, without a woman or a girl. For he is lost in the wilderness, he's lost in bitterness, and he's lost. Whilst man may have been at the forefront of many inventions, he was not the creator of woman. Since the beginning of time, women have been fighting for their rightful place to stand alongside man as God intended. If we refer to history, women, strong women, have proved to be at the forefront of greatness throughout. Joan of Arc, Florence Nightingale, Mother Teresa, Queen Victoria, and of course more recently, the late Queen Elizabeth II. And the likes of our very own, Miriam Makeba, and please forgive my pronunciation of this name, Fumilayo Ransoma Kuti, to mention but a few. African women have been at the center of historical movements for centuries, from empowering enslaved communities to nation building on the continent. All these women have this in common. Born and bred into a predominantly man's world, they have had to fight to prove their worth. They were born leaders, destined for greatness. And although we may be born a leader, it is our life's experiences that shape us, that mold us, that define who we are. I believe that we are granted two choices in life, whether the mountains or obstacles that we face will make or break us. Being the fairer of the sex, we are placed into a stereotypical category, a stigma of being the weaker sex. Yet we prove time and time again that as women, we stand strong and we rather choose to climb the mountain than give up in defeat. Because of our history, as women, we are able to think with our heads and use our emotions, guided by our hearts, to relate to and form bonds with others. It gives us a better understanding of our fellow women. It allows us to show compassion, empathy, and above all else, love unconditionally. For the beauty of a woman is not in the clothes she wears, the figure she carries, or the way she combs her hair. The beauty of a woman must be seen from her eyes, because this is the doorway of her heart, the place where love resides. The beauty of a woman is not in a facial mole, but true beauty in a woman is reflected deep within her soul. It is the caring that she lovingly gives, the passion that she shows, for the beauty of a woman with time only grows. Eleanor Roosevelt states that the beauty of a woman not only resides in her heart, but also within her mind. And I'd like to give you a quote from John Keats' poem, Ode to a Grecian Urn, which ends with the words, "Beauty is truth, truth, beauty. That is all you know on earth and all we need to know." In essence, when we speak of beauty, we speak of truth. This stems from a curious mind and the desire to know more and understand more. Through beauty and truth, we are able to uplift, motivate, promote, and encourage one another to find the beauty within not just ourselves but in others, bringing out the best of one another and celebrating one another's success. So as a woman in a very critical leadership role who continuously strives to quench the thirst of my curious mind, I stand before you today as an example of what a woman, a beautiful woman, is, for we reflect the beauty within our own rights. I challenge you, find the beauty within you. Thank you.
Beautifully said, Ms. Kemkes. Thank you very much. Ms. Khau Mutuakhai, I love surnames that are complete sentences, and mine is Tengi Vene by A Baboon. It's very clear. I read yours and I thought, that's a sister. Ladies and gentlemen, next on our list, Ms. Khau Mutuakhai, and she is from the Sasol Foundation. A round of applause for her, please.
Thank you, Program Director, and thank you to all the women who are here today, who are welcoming or have given me the opportunity to address you. I think for me, I first want to reflect on how we are here today as women. I'm not used to women being this quiet. I'm not used to women being this formal. I'm used to women being able to celebrate themselves and to hold each other up. I grew up with a very prayerful mother. My mother was a praying woman. And one of the key things that I learned from her was that at no point in my life must I believe myself to be less than what I'm capable of. My father taught me that being a girl, I'm going to say it in Setswana because that's how he said it. Honna mosadi ga se bogole. So I stand here not only as the Vice President of Social Impact in South Africa, as well as the Sasol Foundation. I also stand here as a woman farmer because my father was a farmer. And he taught me that I should not allow myself to believe that as a woman, I am incapable of doing certain things. So I'm there. When it comes time to do vaccinations, I'm there. When it comes time, when there's birthing season and there's issues, I'm there to do what I need to do. I walk, I've got, we call them dirifi. I've got dirifi, I've got the uniform, the hats. My hat is beaten down and old, but it is so comfortable. And those lessons for me were key in how I grew up. And I want to share those lessons with you. Growing up, my first role models were actually my female primary school teachers. Actually from preschool, because we all know in ECDs, who are our teachers in ECDs? They're women. They teach us how and what to be. By the same token, they also could teach us the negative self-talk that we go through life believing. The negative self-talk that says, don't jump with the boys, don't climb that tree. I was wrestling with my brother. That's how I lost my 2 front teeth when they were loose. I was wrestling with my brother. I was there in the dirt with him, with my other cousins, etc. The negative self-talk is taught to us as young girls to believe that we shouldn't run as fast, we shouldn't climb as high, we shouldn't wear certain things, we shouldn't say certain things, we must be seen, not heard. I'm extremely opinionated, and that, to a large extent, is as a result of my father. My mother, although she taught me great lessons, always wanted me to be the girl who is quiet, who cooks, while the men go and deal with the cattle, etc. So I would do my chores as quickly as I could so that I could be there with the men, because I could not internalize that negative self-talk. And I went through my own personal journey as a learner, believing that I was meant to be a leader. I sat on almost every SRC within my school. When I got to varsity, I was in every single house committee. I was the corridor coordinator for my corridor. And in doing that, in a women's race, I believed that I needed to develop and be a mentor to all the women that are coming up after me. And the only reason that we're able to do the things that we do is because we support each other as women. I've had the negative feeling of working for women who climb over you to get to the top. But it's because of women like the ones who started the African Women's Chartered Accounting, Women Chartered Accountants, the organization, that I am here today. They paved the way, and I liked the challenge, and I decided I'm gonna add to the number of women in the profession of accounting. And I struggled, I don't wanna lie, I failed multiple times, but I believed that I was gonna do it. Funnily enough, the minute that I got the CA degree, I left it. And I went into social development because I wanted to pay it forward. And I think for me, that's the critical, important thing, is that we're all, as Dr. Ramakgopa said, we're all born with talents. It's how you nurture your talent. It's your responsibility. For me, in my life, the biggest champions who've allowed me to get to where I am in a leadership position have actually, yes, it's been other women leaders who've mentored me, but funnily enough, it's been the PAs and the secretaries who have opened the doors for me. And you know those are women. The PAs and the secretaries to my bosses who were men, who've allowed me the time to be able to talk about what I'm capable of doing, to be able to share what I'm capable of doing. And it is through the women who are often not seen, that I also started a women's organization when I was still a financial manager at the Coca-Cola bottling South Africa. And having done that, one of the key lessons that I learned is that women want to support each other. They need forums like this to open the door for them. Banyana Banyana would not have made it to where they are today had a woman who was an HR director not believed that we can make an impact in women's sports. And I'm proud to work for an organization like SASO. I'm proud to have worked for all the organizations that I've worked with, where women empowerment takes precedence and it is on the board's top agenda. And it's believed that we can make a difference. So the last thing that I want to leave you here with today is that you can choose to believe the negative self-talk that you have been taught your whole life, or you can choose to believe that you are more than what you have been told you can be, and to rise up. And as you are rising, lift somebody up. That's how real queens do. Real queens fix each other's crowns. Don't be the woman that pulls another woman down. So when you get into corporate, do what you need to do, but while you're doing it, don't step on other women to be able to do it. Thank you.
Mutuacha man. So well said. We heard you. Thank you very much. I just love your surnames. I'll say it at every opportunity. Dr. Narisa Ramdani has asked that she speaks next because she's going to have to leave at a point. My apologies, Professor Klaba. Dr. Nandi Malumbazo, please bear with us. Please give her a round of applause.
Just making sure my clock is synchronized with yours.
It's 12:45.
Thank you. Program director, guest speakers, staff and students of our university, and all other honored guests here today. Good afternoon. Let me begin by thanking the organizers at VUT for this wonderful event. And it's not Women's Month, but I'm very pleased to be talking today as a black woman in Black History Month, because it's Black History Month in many parts of the world. So yes, it is special. And thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts on the theme, and much of what I say will augment what our speakers have spoke about today. And I think I must say how proud I am to be in the illustrious presence of illustrious women here and in the room. So thank you. Now when I talk about my journey, and there's no time to talk about my journey, but I will share snippets of it which will guide you and the forum in how we go forward, what we should as women do and not do. Now, did I plan my journey to leadership, to the boardrooms of education and business in the world? No. As they say, life happens, and this is what happened to me. Now, I'm proud of South Africa. Since 1994, it has in many ways opened doors for strong women, some qualified, others not so much, to do the job. Our Constitution recognizes the equality of women today, the contributions they make, and even our broad-based economic empowerment compels companies to employ percentages of female staff. But when one looks at the number of females and CEOs who are board members and executives, a different picture emerges. From my experience as a board executive or as a former CEO, and as a member of the International Women's Forum, I have learned that the route through to corporate corridors, and many of you will be going through these corporate corridors, as our illustrious speakers have indicated. It's a long, Herculean, frustrating one. Now, looking at the figures, the gap just widens. In South Africa, only 13% are operating in executive roles in the basic resources sector, and 87% are men in executive positions. Now, just this last week, a study by S&P Global found that, listen to this, global firms with female CEOs and CFOs produced superior stock performance compared to market averages. In the 24 months after their appointment, women CEOs saw a 20% in stock price momentum, and CFOs saw a 6% increase in profitability. So it's found that a company with high gender diversity on their board of directors is far more profitable and larger than firms with low gender diversity. Now, here's the story. You probably heard of Anglo-American Corporation. Now, when its first female CEO, Cynthia Carroll, she was 2 years into her job, and they retired, and she rejected a takeover bid from another global mining company. Now, this is what the retired deputy chairman of the company said. He nearly choked on his whiskey, and he said to the media, I quote, "This woman's totally useless. There is no morale at Anglo-American." He indicated that it was difficult to find a successful woman CEO because, quote, "women are sexually frustrated, men are not because they can fall back on prostitutes. If you have a CEO who is sexually frustrated, she cannot act properly. So, falling victim to such types of pressure, she finally did resign from Anglo-American. So such is the plight in the boardrooms. Now today, women have regressed from deliberately creating spaces to freely associate, to have a conversation on what unites and divides us. As women, we have become strangers to one another. We need to have voices that are heard, voices that take out outside of our governments. When we hear of good news about women appointed to top jobs and top boards, we must also remember the gender bias, sexual harassment, and domestic violence are on the increase. Are we empowering other women? Are we mentoring them? No. I mean, I still hear women telling me, oh no, I won't go to a female gynecologist or a female doctor, right? So now, going forward, having given you these snippets of information, I have said it and I emphasize that we are a work in progress because it is never too late to become who we want to become. Hence, we are willing to evolve. And when this happens, and you learn about yourself, as I did, and you begin to wonder whether you are headed in the right direction, remember, it's okay for you to grow and evolve. Now, many have inspired me in my journey, from my great mentors like Nelson Mandela, who mentored me for 5 years, my mom and dad. So I couldn't ask for better. But I was very inspired by this Brazilian writer, Paulo Coelho, who in his work, The Alchemist, succeeded in putting smiles on the faces of millions of women, in advising them how to manage their challenging lives. He wrote his book in only 2 weeks in 1987, and it is focusing on finding one's destiny. His message was that when you really want something to happen, the whole universe will conspire so that your wish comes true. This is what I did. This is what I would urge you to do. Put it out into the universe and leave it there. It will happen. So may I conclude by wishing the organizers of the Women's Forum every success, heartfelt success, in what you set out to do, and people like myself are always there to guide you through our experiences. Thank you all.
There are many times I've had to lift this mic. The guest speaker was the same. The respondents are not too tall either. Thank you very much, Dr. Nerissa Ramdani. Professor Toko Klaba, please come to the podium. A round of applause for her.
Good afternoon. Unfortunately, I didn't prepare anything, as we always do. But I told myself that I'll speak from the heart. When I came at VUT, I had a plan. I jotted everything down, said, by this time, I want to achieve this. At this time, I want to achieve this. I came with a master's degree. In where I was coming from, I started the PhD, but I quitted after maybe it was 5 months, because I saw in that PhD that if I go and compete with other students from other universities, there's nothing, or I'm not going to win, because it was not challenging. So when I arrived at VUT, I said, no, I want to start with my PhD. I will finish my PhD. I want to become a doctor in this institution. So what I'm trying to say, as a woman, you need to have a plan in life. You need to plan your life. The people who just do things, who are all over, they don't succeed. You must know what you are doing. There are lots of challenges that we are facing as women. And another thing that I don't like about the women that are in position are the women that are crushing the other women that are trying to climb the ladder. If you are at the top, do not push down those ones that are trying to get to where you are. Even at the workplace, we've got women who are crushing other women, which is not right. And what I like about those women who are crushing other women, they don't grow. There's no growth. They say stick to your lane. If you know what you are planning to do, what you are planning to achieve in life, stick to your lane and you'll get there. And there's something that I used to share with people. Education goes with religion. You can't separate the two. If you fall down, or if you are thinking you are falling down and you can't go up anymore, the church is always there, or the Lord is always there to help you in whatever things that you are planning to achieve. So that one is very, very important. It is very, very important to consult the Lord. And all the challenges that you are going through right now, I know with you students, the finance and everything, you are building a story, your story. Don't say, oh, the Lord is cursing me, or I don't have luck. There's someone who's going to benefit from that story of yours. You'll become an inspiration to others or to your children. So please don't give up. So to answer the question that says, are we doing enough as women? No. There's a lot that we still need to do to help each other as women. Like to be where I am now, I didn't plan to become a professor. It happened because of the things that I was doing. Those are the ones that carried me over to a professorship. I was sharing that information with Dr. Tozam, that at some point I was thinking of quitting the job last year and study medicine full time. But I was thinking about the kids, the house, who's going to take care of all those things. I didn't plan to become a professor. It happened because of the things that I have achieved. So please don't give up, but to those women who are abusing women because they are at the top, stop it. Otherwise, the Lord will take care of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Klaba. Stop it. Stop. You know when a woman says stop it, a clap is right behind that. Stop it. Thank you so much, Professor Klaba. We heard you, and thank you for choosing to speak from the heart. Our last respondent is Dr. Nandi Malumbaza. Please give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. I guess I'm the one who's closing this event today. As I've been introduced, my name is Dr. Nandi Malumbazo. I'm at the School of Chemical and Metallurgical Engineering at VUT. I'm also a sessional lecturer at VUT Business School on energy policy and regulation. Also a board member at Energy and Water SETA. I'm a representative of my field, like I represent my field in various technical committees like carbon capture and storage, as well as circular economy of the country. So the reason I'm giving you this background is that I'm not a person that does one thing. I'm a person that is so busy with so many things, but then I had told myself that I can't fail in any of those. I studied, to give you just a big background about my academic career, I studied at UWC. Dr. Nelana was my senior. So he's one person that then, whenever I would achieve one degree, I would be like, I want to wear that red gown. But then at some point in my life, I decided then to leave chemistry. And then I ended up at VUT, chemical engineering, doing my PhD there. It was not a good departure, more especially for those that were actually used to, I think, to my way of, to my working. But then I proceeded otherwise because I knew what is it that I want in life. So I'm trying to then also get back to the nurturing of your talents, because you need to nurture your talents in order for you to expect someone else to support you in doing such. So between MSc and PhD, then I left organometallic chemistry, then I went to ChemEng to be a coal scientist. So I'm a coal scientist. That's what I am. I spent some time at CSIR. I also spent some time at the Council for Geoscience. And then in 2020, then I decided that I'm really tired of corporate. Then my friends normally say I took an early retirement because around 8:30, I'm still sleeping, forgetting that I slept at 1:30 in the morning, because academia really, it's so demanding. It demands the hell out of you. It's actually more demanding as compared to corporate. But I'm not complaining then, because I then joined academia since I was really tired of the corporate politics. Then I thought, I'm that person that I don't like to be boxed. That's my one of my challenges. Don't like to be boxed. I don't want people to box me. I don't want people dictating what is it that I can do and what is it that I cannot do. So I am that kind of a person. So what I want to actually tell you as women at VUT today is that you should actually nurture your talents, and you need to understand yourself. I think that's one thing that is very crucial. You need to understand yourself. Do not ever try to be someone else. We should never try to mimic our male counterparts or to be like them. I've seen women who are CEOs who are so forcefully, they are trying to fit into the men's world. You can't. You need to allow your femininity to actually be in that bedroom, because remember, if you've got a male figure, you've got a female figure, you've got two individuals that think differently. So your presence then in the boardroom, it becomes, you bring in different ideas as compared to your male counterparts. So I don't want women to try and fit in and try to compete with men. Let's not try to do that, because we'll be over-exhausting ourselves. But just be sure that you've got a plan when it comes to your life and your future. You need to understand your path, that this is the path that I want to take in life, and these are the things that I need to actually do in order for me to get there. Because a plan is really crucial, as Professor Kaba has said, a plan is really crucial. Are we really doing enough for women? to be in higher position or to be in position of authority. I think, yes, there are women that are trying. Where I am today, I was trained by a woman, actually. There are few women who are coal scientists. The field that I'm in, it's mostly in mining. So you know in mining, it's full of men. So I was trained by a woman. That woman who trained me for my PhD, who transferred the skill to me, she's my friend today. We spend time on a monthly basis having breakfast session, her trying to understand, what is it that you want? What are you doing? How are the kids? How is this? How is that? You know? So there are women that are really trying their level best to assist others in terms of achieving their goals. But I think my message is that let's not try too much to be like men. We can't be like men. We are women. You need to take your part, and you need to understand that you are also needed in the boardroom. So my last then message to you, it's something, I've got two messages to the women in this room today, is be stubborn and thick-skinned. Because I think even if you are passionate, even if you are really good at what you do, I think you are likely to be subjected to preconceived notion of who can do what. So you need to be stubborn about your dreams. You need to be sure and be firm about your wants in life. And then trust me, as Professor Ramadani has said, trust me, the universe will deliver what you want to you. And my last message is you can be anything that you want to be, if only you believe with sufficient conviction and act in accordance with your faith, for whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So even on this message, you can hear that spirituality is, you need spirituality in order for you to be successful in whatever that you do. And I think those are my two messages for you. And then all the best to the VUT Women Forum. And please be yourself and remain yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nandi Malumbazo, a graduate of the University of the Western Cape, the intellectual home of the left. That's where I was yesterday. I have a very special relationship with that university. Thank you very much. Incidentally, my first boss also was a woman at age 21. And I've never, my sister says I must never say this in public, I've actually never had a bad experience with a boss. The very first introduction at the University of Durban, Westville back then, my boss was Professor Mapule Ramashala, now late. She was the Vice Chancellor of the university. She taught me what women leadership is. You want to talk stubborn? She taught me what being stubborn is and still lead ethically. She also taught me how to treat bosses. And so I've always been able to, young people, to manage your boss the same way that your boss manages you. And therein lies the skill in relationships at work. Find ways to manage your boss as much as your boss manages you. Thank you very much. I will now open the floor for questions. We are out of time, and this is really sad when you're a program director, because really the most important part of the program is when the people who've been listening are now interacting with the content. Let's see how much we can do. I will take 2 questions this side, I'll take another 2 that side, and I will watch the clock and see how many more we can take. Does anybody want to start? Comments as well are welcome. Mr. Mike, there is somebody over there. Anybody else? If you want to speak, please come close to the mic. Please come this way. all of the comments or questions will be directed at the respondents. Don't look at the program director. She has no answers. Please go ahead.
Okay, my question is on Dr. Mukhadira, Dr. Tabse, who was talking about breast cancer awareness, and I think she's no longer here. Okay, because my question was on about males when it comes to breast cancer, because it's like the research on it on males is not that broad, and my father has to experience breast cancer, so I wanted to ask more on her. So she's no longer here, I'm gonna pass. Oh, call it the. Okay.
There are other doctors in the room.
I forgot. Okay, Dr. Ramukha Khopa. Yes, my favorite lady. Okay, doctor, I wanted to ask, because the symptoms on a male, they think that the breast grows, but there was a lump. And my father found out after some time, and she was going to Bara. There's a clinic for specifically in Bara for breast, but they couldn't find the symptoms. They keep on struggling and saying there's nothing, please come back next week, there's nothing, it's just the breast. And then until it was so deep, would see Celia Bola Manj can realize this is a cancer, because they normally say breast cancer is more on females than on males. So I wanted to ask on that. And my other question is on Dr. Berger, the Director of Research. Hi, ma'am. Okay, my question is on, like, if I'm doing management science, can I come to you and do research based on engineering? I can't. I'm a student, but I found something that is valid, so I cannot do it now. I have to do diploma engineering so that I can do research on what? So unfair. Okay, it's fine.
Thank you for the questions. Oh, let's take a second. Let's take a second question. Yeah. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Palisa.
Sorry, Palisa. Please stand back a bit. Sorry about that.
My name is Palisa. Am I audible enough?
Come forward.
My name is Palisa.
There you go.
I'm a third-year VUT student. I don't have a question. It's more like a complaint. I'm going to ask myself a question and then I'm going to answer myself. Are we being treated fairly as female students in VUT? The answer is no. For example, when VUT FC is playing, our soccer team, when they're playing, you know, they will be telling us everywhere on social media. They will even give us 2 buses for supporters to go and watch them. And majority of the time, they never win. Like, they always lose. But VUT is spending money on them. When the netball team is playing, we are never even told about it. And they're doing well. I saw them somewhere, they got, I don't know, 37 goals. VUT FC has never even scored 3 goals. I'm not happy with that. Number 2, I've been here for 3 years. I came here in 2010. Can I please speak? Please?
You are protected by the program director.
So
Go ahead, Palisa.
Yes, I've been here for 3 years now. 2020 it was Corona, okay, we had to go home. And then we came back. Last year, the males, the student males had a male conference. Even this year, they had a male conference. But when we go to Triple S knocking and asking for popcorns, we go to Living and Learning, they never assist us. But the male students always get what they want. For example, now we just came from SRC elections. Out of the 12 seats, there are only 2 ladies. I'm one of those ladies. And we're even given useless positions. I remember last year I was a deputy chairperson of the most biggest structure. This year the lady is a deputy secretary. They have, you know, we are deputies. If you're a deputy, you are useless. And if you check, majority of the students in VUT are females. Order. So why are we given weaker positions? There is no way you can discuss female issues without a female. You will find a male standing in front of us saying, I'm going to give you pads. Whenever they do an event for us, they're always giving us pads. Yes, we get our periods, but not 30 days a month. We need more than pads. We are tired of pads. Thank you.
Thank you, Palisa. Is there another question? Next question.
A very good afternoon. My name is Marcia. The question is on Women Forum. Okay, women empowerment. Are we doing enough to support each other? As the doctor has answered, no, we are absolutely doing nothing to support each other. And especially when it comes from staff to students. When a female student asks for help from a staff member, the only thing that we get is criticism. I'll give you an example. VUT has one of the most important offices, which is the welfare office. But every time when we go there to go and seek for help, get advice or whatsoever, we get criticized. You get labeled. Is that good enough? Where do we start celebrating each other? Do we start when I'm already a manager, or does it start now as a female student of VUT? Because what VUT lacks is care. From staff to students, VUT has no care at all. And that is the biggest challenge that we as students are faced with. We are products of VUT and we should take pride of that, but we are not. Why? Because of the clashing that we have with between students and staff members. Is that good enough? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there another question? Go ahead, please.
Yo, I say in the yeah, but there's no support. No, I'm joking. Hi, everyone.
A practical example of no support.
No support. A woman had to come and fix this because I'm short. Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Nonhlanhla Temba, a master's candidate at the VUT University of Technology. And the reason I stood up is because I'm inspired by professors. I actually wrote a thesis right now saying, I want to be addressed as prof. You know, the kind of prof to say, no, that is prof's car. Like, I want that. For me, the reason I'm saying that is because someone mentioned you are creating your story. Actually, prof did. You are creating your whole, your story and someone is going to be inspired by it. At first, I wanted to be educated as a label so that it gives me something to brag about. Because where I come from, even today, I'm the only one in my neighborhood who just went and got tertiary education. So at first it used to make me so happy, like, you know, I'm the most educated one. At rest, I still get excited by, oh, she's so young, she's doing masters. But recently, it really breaks my heart having to be the only one where I come from. It breaks my heart having been the only one at home, even to finish matric, to say if we are doing enough for other women, are we not supposed, because when it comes to the law of serving, even in the Bible, they say you first serve at home. Are you doing enough for the women in your household for them to be better people? That's the question, that's where it has to start. But now, my question is, my biggest fear, actually, not just the question, especially to the professors, the more educated you are, the less chances of you getting employment, and we all know this. So, okay, let me try to tell you why I'm saying that. I went to 3 interviews in the past month, and I was told I'm overqualified for the position. I was told the second time that they cannot afford to pay me. I went the other time, they said, you should venture into academia because you're already more educated. It works in your favor if you have work experience and then you get your education. And also it depends on the field that you're in. I'm in management sciences, and even on graduations, we all know that the group that is more than any other group is management sciences. So what advice would you give me and anyone that is doing the postgrad, advance, and all of that? Would you say we should stop school or find something else that we can do? How do we look for employment? How do we start our careers in the position that I'm in? I'm talking from experience. I'm talking from the struggle that I am facing currently as a master's candidate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the questions. To the organizers of the event, Ms. Nondomiso Lufele, because I've been talking to you, we don't encourage talk shops, and so when we hear something, something must happen about it. So what Palisa said and what the last speaker said and the other student said needs to be heard, and something needs to move. So I don't know if the Dean of Students is in the house, or whether he or she is called a Dean of Students here, might be Head of Student Affairs, but there's an issue and it's been raised. And as a program director, I want to appeal that it moves forward. If a woman student is saying men are getting more attention on campus, that doesn't sit well with me, shouldn't sit well with anyone, especially anyone in executive management. Let something move. So that they are heard and they don't think this was just yet another talk shop. There are two questions on the floor, and I think the first one was on breast cancer. The second was directed at Professor Kasa, Aba, and about advancing as an academic, as a woman academic. You go first.
I'm sorry, what was your name? What's it? Ntomenhle. Oh yeah, it's a sentence as well. Intombi. Yes, I also love sentences. The women, men have got breast tissue as well. But they don't have as much breast tissue as women do. So there's a very small percentage. But it's growing because we take a lot of hormone ingested food and even in farming. We use a lot of GMOs and hormones and all that. And the breast cancer, even in men, is becoming more common than when I was a student. And I qualified as a medical doctor in 1989, a long time ago. So it is growing, and that is why we also want men. They were feeling a little bit embarrassed. This is about their health as well, their wellness. We also love them. So men must also take a assessment of their breast. It's flat. Ours, it's a bit protruded. Theirs is flat, but there is some breast tissue there. So it is important that even doctors who have qualified as far back, even before me, are continuously informed. Like there was no COVID when we trained. COVID only came 2020, 2019, 2020. So doctors who passed in 2018 had to learn it on the run. So there are many diseases that we have to learn now. And that's why we have continued professional development. But it is a serious thing, and I hope your dad managed to get help. Yes, because if you pick it up early, it is curable. If you pick up it late, it is very difficult to treat. You have to go through chemo, through what, and it's extremely difficult to program. But we have successes, so I wish your dad optimal recovery. Thank you. And maybe can I just talk about being overeducated? When we look at the high number of unemployment for young people in South Africa, about 50% of those only or don't have matric. About 30% only have matric, and only 7% have a higher education qualifications. So by getting a higher education qualification, you insulate yourself. But there'll be that 7% that still has a high risk. But we need to have what we call a triple helix in terms of looking at the training needs. Universities must work with the government to look at the policies and the resources, and with the corporate sector, because technologies and business is changing all the time, so it must be relevant so that the education outputs that students have are in areas of great need of society. But we wish you well. Thank you. I wouldn't also want to be a deputy.
Oh, okay. So when it comes to employment, I know it's difficult once you are at master's level, the companies, they won't take you because their bosses, they have diplomas, most of them. So you are coming to overrule them. So it is difficult, especially when you are at master's level, tell yourself that I'm in research now. Just try and look maybe for a career while you are in research. Like in my case, I'm from the Faculty of Applied and Computer Sciences. I'm in chemistry. So you can start your own company. While you are busy with your own research, think about the ideas or the things that you can do if you had to run a company. Like COVID, one of the best things that I've learned from COVID, it was the sanitizers. That is a business. And the research publications, do research. With publications, you can earn a lot of money. So I know out there it's difficult, but luckily on the Faculty of Applied and Computer Sciences, after PhD, you can go and become a postdoc. And at the end, during that time when you are studying, you get an opportunity to tutor. You'll get an experience. So don't run away from those opportunities where you are given a chance to tutor the students. They'll build your profile. And at the end of the day, when they're looking for maybe a lecturer, you have an experience. All those things that you are collecting from the experiencing that you are collecting, you jot it down in your CV. They count. I think that one may help. Thanks.
I want to respond to you, Sissy. Most people, they've got a mentality that when you've got your postgraduate degree, you'll be overqualified. I was just telling Uhau next to me that I was a Sasol passer since my master's until PhD. And then after PhD, Sasol could not take me because by that time in 2010, it was the time of recession. So then I had to look for a job myself. And mind you, I'm a coal scientist who does coal in South Africa. It's Sasol and Eskom. And it's only those two companies. And Sasol does coal gasification, Eskom does coal combustion. Those are two different processes. Then I had what you are having in mind, that you train me to be this person today, but then you can't employ me. But then I did not stay there. I actually took my CV by hand. I went to the CSIR, I went to DSI, I went to the Council for Geoscience, I went to the Department of Energy by that time. Trust me, in 3 months, Department of Energy, the Council for Geoscience, CSIR, all those 3 companies, they were looking for me. So also where you are actually looking for work or a job, it matters. Because now you are doing research, you are being trained to be the master of what you are actually specializing in. So your focus then should be on research institutions or the SOEs that does research, or any private company that has got a research component. But also, I think also academia has got a negative connotation around it. As the other speakers have said, in the country, trust me, when it comes to South African academics, we've got only few of them. It's few of them. I think when I was graduating then in 2011, I was the only South African female that was graduating by that time. The stats have not gone up. So when you go to academia, don't take it as a negative thing. It's actually a good thing to be in academia because firstly, you are a black South African woman in that particular field, which you don't have many of. And secondly, academia, trust me, you are your own boss. You manage your own time. You do whatever that you want to do whenever. No one is going to ask you, you should be here at 8 and leave at 4. No. Remember, I've got both corporate and academia. Academia, if you don't want to wake up in the morning, you don't want to wake up. You see? And also you've got, you will travel the world when it comes to academia. You can take a sabbatical for a year and go and stay in the UK and do whatever. Whereas in corporate, someone needs to approve to such. Whereas in academia, you are your own boss. So let's not really take academia with a negative connotation as it's something, when you are in academia, you are in a wrong field. You are not. We need more South African, more especially women in academia. Let's occupy the space, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll come back to you just now.
Thank you very much, Program Director. I also would like to be excused if it is not too rude. But I wanted to first say that I used to be the SRC president, and what I found works was when we are represented, students are represented in every unit, including on Senate. And we had reviews even on the marking and the passing or not passing of students. And those reviews came to support the students at times. So we are all human and we are all vulnerable. Nobody will know your needs more than you. So even if you go to the person who's doing welfare, they will try and do the best they can do. But if you don't have a committee that sits with them regularly to say, students say X, Y, and Z, student feedback and all that, even feedback is important. It's like in the clinics. We want to have a clinic committee in hospitals, a hospital board, so that people should not feel vulnerable. So yes, let the university get its act together, by all means. Those that are from the VC to everybody, they earn because of students, but also let students get their act together and organize themselves, especially, or including women as well. The last thing I would like to leave with you is that we talked about a bit of spirituality somewhere. South Africa, I mean Africa as a whole, when I run around and look at research, I do a lot of research as well. I do some with the WHO Collaborating Center now. I found that if there is an area in the world that you can say it is the Garden of Eden, it is Africa. We have everything, everything but everything. And, but we need to unlock the economic potential. The last job I did was an advisor in the presidency as the district development model advisor. 52 districts in our country, all of them economically endowed. Trucks that live with raw material, hundreds and thousands of them. So if we can just say in Sekhukhune, which are 36 trucks, 36 mines in Sekhukhune, and we say for this month, instead of 1,000 trucks going out, we want only 500 going out. The rest, we want to beneficiate them. We want them to remain here. We want to establish factories. Those factories will need accountants, will need lawyers, will need engineers, will need HR people, will need whatever. So we must push back to be an extractionist economy, taking the wealth as is on queen's crowns and stuff like that. We must beneficiate our wealth in our country and in the continent. The next superpower must be through the younger generation here. It must be Africa. with South Africa a very important component thereof. It was possible with China. In the 1978, China was at the same level of development as us. And they determined that in 40 years, there will be prosperity for everyone in China. And now China is a superpower. It even owns America. It's because of what? A productive economy. So we can do it. I think let's do it. Thank you. I agree. If you can't get a job, start a job somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you to all of our respondents. Thank you for sharing your views with us. Thank you for taking our questions, and thank you for taking our comments. I have to allow our guest speaker to leave because she has another engagement, and indeed we had committed we'd finish at 1, so we can't not allow. Ms. Mapugata, please show her how to exit this building. I see she does not know the way out.
Colleagues, women students, panelists, my team that organized this, I have to claim them now because it has worked out very well. I really want to take this opportunity to thank you for really being patient with us. We started a little bit late on time, but it was worth it. And sitting through the heat as well, it was worth it. Thank you very much, panelists. I had to leave the room because you had the singing out there, so I had to multitask. But I found you here still carrying on with the program. That is just super, super, super remarkable. And I think it's because there are women in the majority here. Please give yourselves a round of applause. You will not be distracted. You show that strength. So to our panelists in particular, I'm sorry, I'm still going to call you MEC. I'm starstruck. When I saw you this morning, I felt like, the MEC is in the house. I'm not saying separating you from the rest of the, but I mean, she played a massive, massive role in that portfolio, and she was in the presidency not so long ago. I think you're still there. I'm listening to what you are saying. You're still driving the economy. Thank you very much, Doc. Please continue to serve us. We have a little something that we would like to give you. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, but not just the Vice Chancellor, on behalf of our Executive Director for HR, because I mean she leads us as women in this institution. Thank you for coming. Thank you for everything. No pictures. No pictures. Come on, people.
There's a video there. Somebody take it.
Oh, somebody has taken. Okay. All right. I'll walk you out then. Where's my
Thank you.
phone?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much. We will move with speed. We'll move with speed. Our next session is a brief introduction of VUT women. Dr. Tozama Kwebani, are you in the room? The operative word is brief. A brief introduction of the VUT Women's Forum. Thank you very much. Please give her a round of applause. No pressure.
Thank you, Program Director. Now I'm under pressure. I don't even know where to start. I'd like to extend my greetings to the panelists, to the speakers, to the participants, and to the attendees. And thank you very much to the organizing committee for this session, a timely session when you talk about Women's Forum or women in research. Mainly because we know the challenges that women have been faced with. We know the achievement, we know the strategies, and today, you know, when we're absorbing from what the speakers shared with us, which was very enriching. But I'm just gonna give a brief, before I talk about the women in research at VUT. There has been great work that has been done by women before us, because history or Imbali tells us that before the entry of women you will find women in science, in disciplines like zoology, in disciplines like botany, in disciplines like clinical psychology. But across the landscape of science, we're not finding a lot of women. But there were certain strategies that mobilized the participation of women, especially as population increased and there was a need of, scientific advancement and scientific innovation. Then we started to see a greater participation of women in science. So I felt that I have to thank those that came before us, because they didn't only stand for themselves, but they stood for what we all share, a common humanity. What I'm sharing today, it's a concept note, a very brief concept note, and I must say it's not something that I've drafted alone, it was a collective effort. It was a collective effort. I've worked with Dr. Berger, with Chantel from Research Office, with Ronel, while working with Undumi Rose, and also Dr. Nelane's office. And if there has been great strides, why do we think we need these women in research forum? Firstly, we're very passionate about self-actualization. Self-actualization is the ability to become your potential. We don't want to end at seeing the potential, but we want to become our potential. And also, there's a great need of improving our best, of becoming better in what we already have. And the challenges that we have are very complex. So it will not be a singular unit that will come up with solutions. So there's a greater need for cooperation, for coordination, and for co-management when we talk about resources and other things. It's already. In the university, research is one of the core academic activities at VUT. So since it is one of the core academic activities, it forms part of the strategic objectives of the university. So from the report from DHET, we know that in 2020, there were about 21,000 publication subsidy units across the nation. And when you look at these stats and you compare with what was there in 2019, there's an upward increase of 714. Now let's come back home. At VUT also, we saw that upward increase from 161 in 2019 to 195 in 2020. But when we now go down and try to analyze, we see that most of these publications, they are coming from our males within the institute. Firstly, if I can just highlight this figure. This is the year 2021 and 2020. So we have the female, we have the male. So if you can look at the publication, in 2020 we had about 57 females that produced the publication, and in 2021 we had 61. But when you compare that with our male counterparts, it's 139 versus 128. I know that there are a number of factors that we have to take into cognizance, but this is what we're trying to highlight, that how can we then now have such an enabling environment that can promote the appetite, but not only the appetite, but the support of women that want to pursue this research. So another thing that we looked, as I said, that this concept document is not only drafted by me, it was more of a committee with Dr. Berger. Another item that we looked at is what is the role of women in research? The first item we looked at is that we bring a different perspective. I think also Dr. Nandi mentioned that as a woman, you will bring a different perspective into the boardroom. You don't have to act as if you're going to be a female, but also the male, but also for inclusivity. I'm just going to rush. Another one is for empowerment. In the South African context, we need more women that are in research, mainly because we want to alleviate poverty. This actually is #1 goal of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, no to poverty, SDG1. So we are trying now to align that, because the more participation of women in research at home, it will be becoming better economically or financially.
And the objectives and advancement I've just mentioned, advancement and contribution of women to improve the scholarly environment and promoting postgraduate within the university, its advocacy, to have the voice of women, to support, to have an enabling type of environment. Now, you may be asking yourself in terms of the committee and the composition. So from the plan or the concept, which is not closed because it's open for expansion, it's open for revision, it's open for reviewing. But from the concept, we are proposing that from each faculty, we get a representative, but not only from the faculty, but also the non-academic department, we get a representative now in terms of forming the committee, and also the participation from the DVC's office, Ricky, or the VC's office. So in terms of now making the committee, in terms of membership, our focus is on women. So promoting the scholarly environment and supporting women to thrive in research, we're focusing on women. However, in terms of stakeholders, we have not closed the door for men. I'm very sure that there are males that are very passionate about this topic, like the likes of Mr. Mvalo, the likes of Dr. Nelane. So we're not closing, but they will be coming as stakeholders. Now, the channels that we want to use in terms of empowerment, in terms of sharing of knowledge, will be having things like colloquiums, workshops, debates, channels for empowerment. We'll be having a mentorship type of program and a coaching type of program. Let me just differentiate the two. Mentorship is more about transferring a skill. You know something, you have a master's, and I want to be to also do masters, I transfer the skill. But coaching is more about assisting someone to tap into their greatness. So it has nothing to do necessarily with the line of your discipline. Someone can be coached by someone who has done something different, but it's all about helping that person to tap into their greatness, because when I started also, I mentioned the importance of self-actualizing, becoming your potential. So there's channels, it's mentorship seminars, motivational talks, annual women awards. So these are all the channels that we will use. Networking also, the involvement of women in STEM initiatives, visiting our neighbors. Like today, we had a number of speakers that are from outside VUT, from VET, from Medunsa, so we want to create that platform, but more on a strategic level, on how now we can learn from this institution. And then marketing, also using our website, distribution of monthly newsletter. So for me, it was just to give a preview today. It's not a launch of the Women in Research, but it was more of a preview. And I've been working with Dr. Berger, with Ronelle, with Chantel, and myself. Thank you so very much for this opportunity.
There are cell phones on the podium. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kobani. You were not going to be brief. You said, no, program director, you're not going to do that to me. But thank you. It is useful to know what it is that we are here to support and what it is that we need to support going forward. Thank you for your input. We move forward. On the program, we have the introduction of exhibitors and their businesses. Ms. Onika Machege, are you in the room? Please give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon. Are we doing enough? Are we doing enough to support our students? The MEC was saying, who was here, he said we need to be relevant to our community and to our society. But I want to say we need to be relevant to VUT. How come we've got students in K Block who are able to sew graduation gowns, but we go outside? Are we doing enough? How come are we going out to buy cleaning detergent whilst the chemistry students are able, even the lecturers are able to produce? Are we doing enough? We are not doing enough. This is a starting point where we are going to do enough. Outside, we've got students. The students who were able to be creative and to be innovative, to start their own business, they are selling. These are VUT students. So those students were able to get the knowledge and the skill and to apply it. Because VUT is the institution that leads in quality education and teaching, driven by research and with innovation and technology. So we are using technology to be able to start our own business. Most of the students here, they have highlighted that they are overqualified, but we've got structures that they can go to for them to be assisted. MEC talk about the triple helix, where we've got government, we've got academics, and we've got the businesses. The government, through the entrepreneurship development in higher education, is assisting students to be able to be creative and start their own business, not to mourn about being overqualified. And then we've got structures like Inectors, who are working with companies. As we speak, we've got students from VUT who are training the NGOs because they got the mandate and the funding from Harmony. It's not only Harmony, there's Unilever who's giving students opportunities. Here at VUT, I can proudly say we've got 5 MTN businesses which were supported by MTN, by training them, by coaching them, by giving them funding, not simple funding, real funding. We've got Jeremiah who's there, is one of our students. They are doing the My Therapy business. They were funded and trained by MTN, and plus or minus they got 60,000 to start their business. We've got the Notes Technology who have graduated. At VUT, we were able to inspire thoughts and to shape talent. It's up to you to go to the structures that are going to help you. As you go outside, please support. Do enough. Support the businesses which are there. Not all the businesses were able to come because we have changed because of load shedding, blah, blah, blah. But we've got lots of students that have potential. VUT have needs and wants, and the solutions are from within. Our solutions are from within. If you are from management science, make sure that you collaborate with the engineering students who know how to produce, but they don't know how to sell. Some, they know how to sell, how to market. They don't know how to manage people. With your HR expertise, you will be able to train them about their skills, about all the legislations that they need to follow. The time is minimal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anika. A very enthused speaker. And you gave us energy once again in this room. Thank you very much. We heard you. There is no reason why we are not supporting the businesses that are exhibiting outside. There is no reason why we are not looking forward and looking for women who are in business and supporting them in particular. Thank you for the reminder. We needed it. Ladies and gentlemen, before I go into the closing remarks, I want to call Ms. Mapokata back on stage again to say a few thank yous, and then I will ask Amanda Manyi, who is a student, to come after her. A round of applause for Ms. Mapokata.
Colleagues, this is ambush. I wasn't even briefed. I don't even have a list of the people to thank. But thank you very much again. I mean, I've already thanked you, even though I wasn't asked to do that. Thank you, first of all, to our panelists for bringing the wealth of knowledge from their various industries and experiences, you know, through the journey of life, mostly through academia, applied in corporate, and back to academia some. We really appreciate you. Then I want to thank our own people, you know, that also contributed to the discussions. I missed some, unfortunately. But just for being here, when the program was being organized, you know, the natural inclination is to say, ED. And then if it's not ED, then it's KITI. I said, no. We make the news. We don't want to be the news, okay? So we stepped aside, and the program ran, and look at how rich it is and how beautiful it is. Thank you, EDHR. Last week, she finished 100 years at VUT, and she's still surviving. Please give a round of applause. 100 days. Did I say 100 years? It does feel like 100 years at VUT. VUT is that kind of place where we count in years, not in hours, not in minutes, you know? Okay. And then Kimberly there. You know, Kimberly is a bright spark. She's energetic. She rocks her heels all the time. and is always available to play many roles. Thank you very much. Doc, I listened to you. You're the one person that I was able, or the two, that was able to hear your inputs. Homegrown, within VUT, very inspirational. And then my home girl over there, I heard the way you were heavy, when you were speaking, Dr. Nandi. Yes, that's you. And how all the time the MC had to come and remind you that, stop talking, we need to move on. So thank you very much. And then to our colleague right at the end, I wasn't here when you were introduced, but I see you, and I am sure you contributed meaningfully to the program. Thank you. Then to you again, colleagues, you want to clap for yourselves? Yes, please do that. Sure. And then to our staff and students, the males, the DVCs, just everybody that's here. I've already said that it's very hot today. But I'm counting the number of chairs that are empty. It's the ones that were empty from the get-go. So which means that you stuck it out. It means you see value in what we are trying to do. And I do have to thank our colleagues within the research space, Dr. Tozama and your colleagues, and Dr. Perkar, I see she's left. Thank you for sponsoring this program. I know you are partners. I might have mentioned advancement only, but I am recognizing you, and I do know that you will be taking this program far. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone that's here. And then obviously to my team, I can't stop thanking you. All of you in the roles that you play, I can't do anything, without you. So each time you shine, I shine even three more times. That's how it works, which is why I will always stand up and say thank you very much for your support. To our program director, you are awesome. You are very tall and imposing, but you know your stuff. Thank you very much, especially because she also comes from the sector, so she understands what we are about here. So we thank you very much for this. So we have some little tokens of appreciation, but not for our people again. So I'm a little bit embarrassed about this, to say we haven't prepared anything yet for all our participants, our panelists today. However, my office will organize something. We have not forgotten about you. So I'm just going to then call upon our guests and thank them with a little something from VUT. Okay? I was given a list. Where is it? Okay, Dr. Gwen has already left. Dr. Malumbazo. Okay, let me come to you, Sisi. Miss Mutuachau, I hope I've not mispronounced your surname. I'm from the ex-country. Okay, let's go. Then we have one more. Thank you. All right. This now goes to the madam of the day, Nix. Oh, no. Her sister, whom I know is Nix. So, Nkosazana, the princess, thank you very much for running the show for us. Then to the rest of us, I think there is, where's Palis? I'm about to get myself into trouble now. Not gifts, but is there lunch, Njumi? Yes, that's why I was worried I was going to get into trouble. So for the rest of us, we will feed the what? The soul with food. Thank you very much. That's a gift.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mapukata. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity. Ladies and gentlemen, the program was opened by the Vice Chancellor of the university. because management is a very important stakeholder and indeed the host of this event. But an even more important stakeholder at any university are the students. And so it is my pleasure to now call upon Ms. Amanda Manyi. She is the Deputy Secretary of the SRC, to come and do the closing remarks. A round of applause for a young woman. Yes.
Good day to everyone who is here. My name is Amanda Manyi, as the program director has already alluded. Women have been historically marginalized, and although society is ever changing, women have always bore the brunt in all aspects. Excuse my voice is shaking, and it's because I'm in the midst of very powerful women. So it's difficult for me to do these closing remarks because, you understand. So the hardest thing is being a black woman. Fight a war on all fronts, supporting reforms for your race and for your gender. Our black male counterparts do not agree with us in the sense of liberating the woman, and our white counterparts side with the white men when it comes to issues of race. As black women, there is much to overcome. The theme is we are doing enough as women to celebrate and support each other. My answer is no. We can never do enough, because when we have given our 100% to each other, we should strive to add 10% more. We are not doing enough, and we should be encouraged and empowered by the notion, because the truth is we have crazy odds to overcome if we ever want to have a place in society. I love reading, and there's an author by the name of Rapil Kaur. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but is an Indian writer and a poet. I would like to quote only 3 pieces from her book, her recent book titled Homebody, which I think will assist in this theme of the day as to why are we not celebrating each other as women. The first one goes as follows. Women have been starved of space for so long. When one of us finally makes it into the arena, we get scared that another woman will take our spot, but space doesn't work like that. Look at all the men in the arena getting stronger as their numbers multiply. More women in the arena means more room for all of us to rise. We are stronger together. The second one is, how do I shake this envy when I see you doing well, my sister? How do I love myself enough to know that your accomplishments are not my failures? We are not each other's competition. And lastly, our work should equip the next generation of women to outdo us in every field. This is the legacy we leave behind. Progress. So with that being said, I want to thank everyone that participated, because the lateral speaker has already thanked the panelists, and the key speaker is already gone. So I would like to extend my vote of thanks to all my colleagues, students, and everyone who is here. It was lovely sitting in here, and I believe as we walk out of that door, we walk out with any equipment in our hand to go and do better. I mean, the field is too big and the laborers are few. As we walk out of that door, let us walk out with the mentality to plow the field, so that the next generation may come. If we conscientize more laborers to join in the revolution, so that some may come and plant the seed, and some may come and water, and then maybe the last generation will be the beneficiaries of our labors. Thank you so much to everyone that is here. You look beautiful. And lastly, I would like to thank our sponsors. I would like to thank our sponsors that made this event possible, which is DVC, Ricky, and where is it? Yeah, Social Justice and Transformation, and the Research Directorate is Xhosa City Nangamso Enkosi.
Thank you, Ms. Mangi. You spoke really well. Thank you, leadership. You are well on your road, on your path to greater heights. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been a beautiful audience. The biggest nightmare for any program director is an audience that does not interact, an audience that doesn't laugh. I am no Trevor Noah, but when I do share a joke, I would want you to laugh at it. And you did. Thank you, I appreciate it. I want you to please allow our respondents to leave the room first, because they have another appointment, Ms. Mapukata, elsewhere, and then the rest of us will follow. Once again, have a great afternoon, and thank you very much.